Welcome to the podcast, Jordan Gill. She is the head honcho of Systems Saved Me. She is an operations consultant and founder of Systems Saved Me, helps overworked one-woman shows become streamlined solopreneurs. Her jam is creating a cohesive operating system for managing your tasks, files, and inbox. And she's been on podcasts like What Works and CEO Vibes, sharing her love of replacing monthly retainers with one-day virtual intensives. She currently lives in Dallas, Texas with her Cavapoo Vivian, so fancy, and collection of 1,000-piece jigsaw puzzles. You're listening to the Badass is the New Black podcast. I'm Krissy Chin, your host, here to teach you how to build an online business that you love and in a way that allows you to work a little bit less so you can enjoy a whole lot more. My hope is that you've showed up to today's episode ready to learn something new and will be inspired to take imperfect action in your business right away. I won't make you wait any longer. Let's dive in. I bet you're doing a lot of those right now.
Well, you would think so. But with just, again, virtual learning, all of these things, I've done less puzzles actually than I normally do, which is really sad and unfortunate. But I'm planning to do one this weekend. I already have it on my calendar.
Awesome. I love that you're keeping busy. Thank you so much for being here, chatting with us and everyone. I was really excited to do this interview because I love systems and process because I like it ties really well in with automation, which is what I love. And if I can do anything to streamline and make my business simpler, easier, and free me up to do a lot of the other things that I love, I am like gangbusters all for it. So I'm super excited to talk to you. Systems that saved me, like how amazing is that title? Like that's perfect. They save you and they save your business. They save you from burnout and your sanity. So I can't wait to get your golden nuggets. Before we dive into that and I start picking your brain with all these little things, share some of your background, how you got to where you are now.
Yeah, totally. So I actually graduated with a journalism degree, so I'm not traditionally trained in operations. It just was something that I would teeter with. And actually one of my bosses recognized in me that I am a systems person. And she was like, do you just have a system for everything? And I'm like, yeah, duh.
Doesn't everybody?
She's like, okay, that's awesome. And how can we, use that in a variety of ways? And so I've been in the online industry for about 6 years, but about 4 of those years have been out on my own as an entrepreneur. And so I was really lucky and blessed to work with a past bigwig in the industry. She's not even in the industry anymore. But she was running an 8-figure business. And I came in doing her head of content, which was basically I was a songwriter to her Beyonce. And so I wrote a lot of the content for her courses. I would do heavy research. I could read 6 books in 6 hours. I'm a bit of a speed reader. And so she would just send me, it was the best job ever. She would send me books, she would send me courses, and I would get to go through them all, learn where the gaps were or where we could improve. And then I would interview her to get the information from her. And then I would build this epic course. And then she would go and sell it. And so it was really awesome. And that was for the first year. And then the second year, again, she recognized the process of how my brain works and wanted to put that in other areas. So I went over to the customer support area and built out the infrastructure and systems there, then hired somebody to come and maintain it. And then I went into our membership and created the system and structure there, hired somebody to maintain it. Same with editorial system. So I went around and then, as I was ending the editorial one, she kind of wanted me to stay in that role and whatnot for a little while longer. And honestly, it was kind of it was a God thing for me, could be a gut thing for other people. And it was just time to go. And I was like, I I have no job lined up. I have no business. I don't even have a personal Instagram. Like, what in the heck are you talking about? And so, but I took the leap of faith. And within 6 weeks, I gave 6 weeks notice because we were about to go into a launch. And I somehow, through like relationships, honestly, was able to secure 4 clients and $12,000 a month recurring. So I have a very odd like entrepreneurial story because I started off doing really well financially. No, not really well, you know, but like $12,000 a month is significant. It was for me.
Over like, 6 figures.
Right. You know? Like I was like, I'm ready to like live in the dentist's office basement and eat ramen and just like, you know, like do the whole thing. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess this is how we're starting. But then 5 months in, I hated my business and was like, I don't know how this happened. And I think a lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves to like do the perfect thing all the time, in the sense of like our business is always going to feel good to us, or on our videos, like we're always going to look this one way. And the reason that it didn't work out for me in the 5 months was I am not good with monthly retainers. I am a very focused, short burst energy person. I do not have energy upon energy to just be giving out month after month. And I got exhausted and burned out and was just like, this is not it. So and then at first I internalized, am I bad at systems? Like, am I not actually as good at systems as I thought I was? And had a lot of self-doubt. But then when I realized it's like, it's not my expertise that's burning me out. It's the structure. It's the business model that's stressing me out. And so I let go of 2 clients and, you know, went down to 2 clients and was like, okay, well, I'm going to figure out what's next. And for me, that was virtual VIP days. And I've been doing that then for my main source of revenue, except for this year. It's about half, maybe a little under half. But it was the majority of my revenue, 80%, for like a solid 3.5 years.
Wow. I'm going to re-listen to this over and over and over again, because as you were talking, so many things came flashing forward for me. Yeah. First, I want to point out the story of the person that you worked for and how they were building and running their business. She hired you to basically write her content, and then she was the face and sold it, essentially. Right? Like a ghostwriter for a book, which I'm not opposed to. So like, there's so many ways to build your business. So like, think about that, how they were building their business. We always talk about your strengths. Huge advocate of like playing to your strengths. Love that way back when your boss recognized a skill that you had that it didn't even click with you. You know, you're like, doesn't everybody do this? Doesn't everybody think this way? And I think that's such a natural thing to do. I'm someone who has a million ideas. A lot of entrepreneurs do. And I always thought, and I get it from my dad, but I always thought that's how everybody thought. I always thought everybody had a lot of ideas. I always thought everybody's brain was always working all the time. Right. And come to find out that is actually not. So how you are, you know, it took someone else to recognize that in you. But I want to challenge everyone listening. Don't wait for someone to figure it out. Try and figure out yourself. What is it that you're doing that's different than everybody else, or that skill that you have that's different? And then play to that. And so I loved that you were able to take that strength and then build something. I loved how you just got really authentic with us and shared that after 5 months, you hated your business. Like, how many out there listening are like, this is like dreading, you know, I'm dreading what I'm doing right now. This isn't like, it started with rainbows and unicorns and butterflies, and now it feels like tumbleweeds and, you know, or whatever, you know, like my worst nightmare, you know, and then you know, and you doubted yourself. And that's so relatable. Doubting, am I not really good at this? Am I, you know, not good enough to sustain it? You know, what was it? And getting in that doubt, and then realizing, wait a minute, it's not that I'm bad at systems and process, it's the structure. Yeah. And that's definitely something too that I've just realized. Like, I thrive off of automation. So like, if it doesn't have that structure, like, I'm not about it. right?
Yeah.
I literally just got a generator installed so that we wouldn't have to hook up a generator if we lost power. Like everything, I just want it to like happen without me having to do anything, right? So I love that. And I love that you shifted your business to do what you are good at, play to your strengths, and serve other people, but in a way that worked for you. And that takes time, right?
Yep.
It takes
It
time
does.
to figure it out.
It does.
Totally. So now you're switching to these VIP days. So they're more in focused intensives with someone instead of, hey, I'm providing, coaching or services for an extended period of time. Correct?
Yep.
Is that what I'm gathering?
Yep, exactly. Okay. So how they're structured is like I tend to work with seasonal business owners, so seasonal service providers, so wedding planners, tax professionals, tutoring companies, athletic companies, those sorts of areas that have off-peak and on-peak seasons. And so I work with them during their off-peak seasons and work on their back end. So we tend to work on their client management systems specifically, so like brides, tutoring students, athletes, etc. And I help create and implement, literally strategize and create the actual system on the day with them there, from like sales inquiry to then bringing the lead into becoming a client, then managing the client, and then offboarding the client afterwards. And so that's where I get to just like geek out and be in my zone, is just totally immerse myself in systems for a full day for one client. And then it just releases out of my head, right? Because I think, again, monthly retainers, it just stays in your head and you're in the shower thinking about this client, you're driving thinking about this client, you're, in bed late at night staring at the ceiling thinking about this client. And like, I can just let go of the client after that day, for them to go off and be great and be successful with the system that we built together. So, so I'm able to really thrive in my expertise. And I got such a renewed sense of joy and excitement from this type of structure that I was just like, I can't imagine if I had just like totally pivoted to something else, like it wouldn't have been the same. And who knows, it may still have been fun in some aspect, but it really showed me like, this is my zone. This is where I enjoy helping people. And so I'm still able to serve clients, which I love serving clients. And I didn't want to necessarily become like a fully digital business. I still don't. So, and nothing's wrong with that. It's just, for me, I love the people connection. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, there just has to be a different way. Monthly retainers can't be the only way you serve clients. Yeah. So I made it happen.
That's awesome. That's awesome. One little thing that you mentioned that I was like, oh yes, we all have to think about that. So you said you work with people that have on and off seasons. So yep. A lot of the audience here, network marketers, entrepreneurs, coaches, things like that. Sometimes it feels like you don't have off seasons, but you really do, and you really should. Yeah. And I think that when you feel like you don't have an off season, that's when you get burnout, because you're just going. And you should consider, when is my off season? Yeah. And so if you are in networking and you have products and services, typically summer is a down season. That's how retail works. Summer is down, holidays are up, that kind of thing. So being mindful of, even what your company is doing, when is the down season? Because it is important to take, people talk about seasons of hustle. It's so important to take that season where you're not in hustle, maybe you're a coach where you're not in launch mode, and analyze, how is the business doing? Are my systems and process set up? How, you mentioned onboarding, you mentioned sales, onboarding, lots of different aspects to your business, and taking a look, analyzing that. I don't know how much are you an analytics person? Do you love looking at numbers? Yeah. So you're incorporating numbers. So if you're running your business and you're not looking at numbers, and I'm guilty of like not knowing all the numbers all the time. My husband will ask me and I'm like, I don't know. I just know that the money's coming in and it's
money's fine.
Yeah. So that's analytics, right? But taking a look at analytics to figure out, is this process working? Right. And if it's not, or if it is, but it can be improved, improving it. If you're building a business and your growth has expanded since last year, it's time to relook at that system and process and say, how can we do this better? How can we do this different?
Yep.
Okay, so I want to pick your brain a little bit about some of the first things that someone can start with process and system. So you're specialized in solopreneurs, so people that don't have anyone working with them, which I think is a lot of people out there. So this is like, feels like a totally loaded question, but like, what is the first thing that you would have them look at in their business to set up a system or a process to get some weight lifted off?
Totally. One of my favorite systems, and I think the most impactful system, is your client onboarding. And the reason I say that is because we all have experienced bad customer experience, especially if it's like, okay, I'm walking into this doctor's office for the first time and like they're running a half hour late and they called me the wrong name and like all of this stuff. It just doesn't feel good. And so when you're able to create, and client onboarding, what I constitute as client onboarding is once a client says, hey, I want to be a client, or hey, I want to sign up for your team, or whatever the case is, then looking at, okay, we need to start gathering stuff. I call it the collection phase. So we got to collect generally a contract of some sort. We have to get an invoice sent or paid. Then we have to actually create an intake questionnaire, or, you know, get to know more about their situation before helping them. So there's this collection phase that has to happen. And a lot of people drop the ball in that collection phase, and it starts off the entire relationship with your client negatively. And if you have a negative, you know, experience with your client, then you're not going to get a lot more clients from that client. And so then you literally are neglecting an opportunity for you to get more clients really easily. So client onboarding, I love to use a tool called Dubsado, Dubsado, and it allows you to totally automate that, because a lot of people think, oh, like the power is in the personalization and all that sort of stuff. No, the power is in clarity. Like if it is clear, then we're winning. Because again, during stressful times, during crazy times, if you're busy with business or whatever it is, people don't care that you've like created a banner on their email that's using their brand colors, and you added their face to this, and you like asked, how are you? Like, people who are in need of what you have, they just want to get in and get started like as soon as possible. Now, I will say that, you know, you can warm up emails. It does not have to be robotic. It does not have to be like, you know, I'm a super automated person, and I have yet 4 years later to get an email saying like, this was impersonal. Like, I hated getting this email, or like, I don't want to work with you anymore, or whatever the case may be. Because I use GIFs, like GIFs, those little like moving pictures. And I like am warm with how I communicate with my clients. I'm very clear. I don't send a ton of like long emails and stuff. But I also manage expectations along the way. So my questionnaire is about an hour long for people to fill out. Most people are like, I cannot get my clients to send me 5 answers to 5 questions. And I'm like, dude, my clients are saying, do you need any more information? Right? So what's the difference there? The difference is on the sales call, I let them know that the questionnaire is going to take them an hour. When I send the contract, I'm going to say, you're going to get a questionnaire that's going to take you an hour after this. Then when I send the questionnaire, I say, this may take you an hour, just FYI, because I want to help set them up for success, instead of like all of a sudden they get all these questions, right? Which is what most people are doing. And the person's like, whoa, like, I don't want to do this anymore, right? And so most likely you're not setting up your relationship with your client for success. You're just throwing stuff at them and not letting them know and managing their expectations around what you need from them and why you need it from them and how long it's going to take them. And so I think the client onboarding process is the most impactful out of all of them, because if you're not taking care of your clients, it's going to be a long road for you. It just is.
I think that one nugget I pulled was the expectations, 100%, or your personal life, like totally. The people you interact with, your partner, your children. It's all about setting expectations, right? Because when was the last time you got upset that something didn't go right? And why did you get upset? Because you thought it was going to go one way and it really went the other way. And it was most likely because it didn't get communicated to you that, you needed to get the kids ready to go to the zoo. And like, I'm in here working, I was like, nobody told me, so that communication, or like so much of what you're saying with your clients, they come in expecting, because you haven't told them anything, they're expecting you to hold their hand, and then you're very hands off, and they're like, she didn't really do anything for me. Right. Well, you didn't set up that expectation that, hey, I'm going to be touching in at these points, and it's going to be a lot of independent work on your end to follow through and then, connect back with me. Or, hey, I'm going to be reaching out to you every single Monday, whatever it is, setting up that expectation. So it's very clear. I love that you said, they're happy to spend an hour on the intake. And realistic expectations, when you've got the type form or whatever system you're using and it says how long, it's taking them to do that, and you've put that it's going to take 20 minutes and it's taking everyone 40 minutes, go back and change it. Don't feel bad that it's taking 40 minutes, because if you tell them it's going to take 20 and it's taking them 40, they're going to be pissed. Right?
Yes, they are.
Now I'm going to go back and look at my intake form and see how long it's taking people to fill it out, and go adjust the language there and make sure. And again, go analyze and reassess and tweak. Right? It doesn't have to be perfect the first time around, but you have to improve on your systems and your process. You have to analyze if it's working and go back. Yeah. So onboarding. So I also like to think of, I love you were talking about like contracts and like getting everything set up. And I know a lot of our audience, network marketers and coaches. So like including that onboarding of, getting them started and what the educational stuff looks like beyond 100%. That. So do you have a system when you bring someone in? Because here's the deal. You can just bring in a bunch of people that buy one time, and then they don't refer and they go out, and you don't want that. Or you want someone, like you said, that's going to have a good experience. So they recommend other people and they bring other people in. So what are you providing in the onboarding experience? Do you have like a checklist of things that, you kind of incorporate and have people include in an onboarding so they have a good onboarding, or how do you guide them in that?
Yeah. So, I generally, in my collection phase, again, I work with people who generally have clients, but I can also talk about how you would switch it for like network marketing. So clients wise, it's about contract, payment. One of those two needs, like, you can have contract then payment, or you can have payment then contract. It doesn't matter, but those two things have to be first. Do not send the questionnaire before the contract. Do not send it before payment. You need to have the contract and the payment to actually secure them as a client. I actually take payment over the phone and then send the contract after. So you can do it a variety of ways. But those are the three big areas that you have to have in the collection phase. And then there needs to be some sort of marker or understanding that the collection phase is over and now we're moving on to the management, which usually is scheduling a kickoff call or, creating some sort of like agenda for how this project is going to lay out, or whatever the case is. There needs to be a marker. Whatever that marker is depends on your business, but that's kind of that fourth piece of the collection phase. And how I would do that for network marketing is, again, you're bringing people in to be in your downlines. And so again, you're not like getting payment and all that sort of stuff, but there probably is, generally speaking, and most of them I am aware of, have something that is from the main company that they need to sign up for and get their paperwork in for. And so again, how are you encouraging them to do that? There was actually and if it is a longer process, I did this, or I had this done for me as a website developer, where she sent me, it was a very long, it wasn't the longest that I'd ever done, our onboarding. And she did tell me it was going to take a long time. So I knew it, I was prepared for it. But it's website development, right? So they're talking about plugins and like all this stuff I don't want to talk about. And so she sent me like a $10 Starbucks gift card and was like, hey, I know it's going to be painful. Go get yourself a coffee, tea, whatever tickles your fancy, so it'll make it more enjoyable. And I was like, you know what? I will go get myself a Starbucks and I will give you the questionnaire. And it was like, really, Jordan? Like all you needed was you could buy yourself a coffee or a tea and like, you just, whatever. So, but like, what is that intro to make them feel welcome? So again, you may not have to give a Starbucks gift card or something, but even if you like get creative mugs, like if you have like a team name, like welcoming them to the team and getting team mugs created and saying like, welcome to the team. We're so excited that you're a part of us. Like, you know, and it's funny because people are very reciprocal. So if you give them something, so again, if you give them a mug or like a mouse pad or a t-shirt or whatever the case is, then they are more likely to be excited and move forward and doing the process, like the legal process and adding their information into the system, because you've shown your commitment to them being a part of your team as well. So thinking of those little surprise and delights, and then once they obviously do like the boring stuff of like the actual questionnaire, then again, what is that like, okay, now you're on the team, and what is like what's your day one of like being on our team, and knowing like, okay, because that's what I do for my hiring. Like day one, here's all the logins that you should have in your account. Make sure that you check them off and have them all. Like, here's all the processes that you're in charge of. Here's the KPIs, the key performance indicators or measurements that you need to keep track of on a daily, monthly basis, stuff like that. So that day one, it's like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, instead of just being like, thanks for being on the team.
Right.
Like, who knows? Right? Do they need to like read a booklet? Do they need to like set up a mock sales call with somebody? Do they need to change their social media bio to, you know, add that they're now a member of this team and they're promoting this product? Like, what are those things? And creating that day one is going to be really crucial, especially for network marketers as well as like other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the gift giving idea, and that's obviously an investment. It's a business write-off. So if you can find that in the budget to do it, love it. Love the mug aspect, because they can literally use that every single day. Every day. It can appear in pictures very easily. You know? Love that. Love the mouse pad idea, because if they are, maybe it's like people that are getting involved in the business side of it, you're giving them a mouse pad because they're looking at it all the time. Probably not going to show up in pictures to share your brand, but a t-shirt is a cool idea too, but it's like, they're only going to wear it every once in a while maybe. And hopefully it doesn't become the bedtime shirt. Right?
That's
so I love
true.
that, like a mug, you don't have to pick sizes, like it's universal. So like
it's very universal.
I don't think I have it in here, but I have one for my podcast.
Oh, how fun.
I'm going to start having mugs made, because it's such a great idea. And then what else did you say? Just loving that, like the reciprocal thing, like you give to them, they want to give back. Everyone wants to be a part of a community. So even if you're out there, selling candles or building websites for people, like everyone wants to be a part of a community. So if they can feel like you're embracing them in yours, then they're going to be so much more excited to come spend time with you. And that's what you want at the end of the day. And to invite people in, referrals and whatnot, to become a part of that. So I think that's great. Like one little thing that was like going through my brain was like, oh my gosh, all the systems and all the process of all these things, like I feel overwhelmed already. Yeah. So what would you tell someone who's coming to you and you're like, oh my gosh, I have no systems, I have no process, and the thought of all of these makes me feel super overwhelmed? What would your response be to that person?
Yeah. I would say, I saw it well quoted on an Instagram post. So I won't claim this, but pick your hard. Is it harder for you to manually remember every single thing that you're doing in your business? Or is it harder to set up your system once and have to tweak a few things every month? Which seems harder to you? Mm-hmm. And you get to decide. And for me, it is like, again, I know that I'm the systems person and whatever else, but there's always learning curves of new tools, like having to adjust things. And so if you are feeling overwhelmed by the systems, you don't need to do all the systems at once. Like pick one. Maybe it's first like social media, because that's the most fun thing that you do, but you want to make it so that you are ahead on content. So maybe you create a system on Sundays where you take all your photos for the week, and then you plug them into your, scheduler, and then you just let it go for the rest of the week. And you just do like weekly batching for your social media. maybe it's you're sending the same emails over and over again. And so you want to get out of your inbox. Some people are better motivated by things they hate. And some people are like, I want to make what I love better. So that's why I said social media sometimes is exciting for people. So if you want to start there, so you can be more creative and show up in your stories excited versus like, what do I have to share today? Oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. Just eliminating a lot of that stuff out of the fun stuff in your business allows you to show up way better. Things like, again, inbox, generally speaking, is an area that people like to create systems around. But I would say that's one of the meatier systems, generally speaking. But you can start to think of what are the most common questions that get asked, and just creating what they call canned email. And you can actually do this in Gmail. So if you use Gmail, this is super easy to do, and whatnot. I think I might have a freebie that I could send you. I think it's called like the 5-minute inbox cleanup that has like an additional bonus in there. But where you can actually create a templated email that you use over and over and over again, so that you're not having to repeat yourself and retype the same email several times a day or even several times a week. Get that off your plate. So it's like, oh, this person's asking this question. Great. Pick the templated email, hit, change the first name, goodbye, right. Like be done. Right. So there's a couple different ones, but again, I encourage you, if you're like, oh, this sounds hard, it's difficult, systems, technology, automation, like it is, I promise you this, it is much harder to use your brain as like the storage of all things. Like think about all the things happening in your life that you're having to remember. And it shouldn't ever affect your clients. Like your clients shouldn't have to rely on your brain, because our brains fail us. I'm the most forgetful person. And it's not because I'm trying to be rude or any of that stuff. Like I truly am forgetful. So if it is not out of my brain, it's a problem. And so that is why I build systems, is because I'm forgetful. So again, I want to recognize and show you guys, like, I'm not, this like perfect person who has all the things together. It's just, I recognize my weaknesses, which is forgetfulness. And so therefore I'm going to build a system around it so that there isn't, an opportunity for things to fall through the cracks.
Yeah, that resonated with me so much. I am so forgetful. And again, lots of ideas, lots of things being trying to be stored in this brain, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't fit. And so it's has come to either, and I'm so not organized. I'm a blue, I'm not a green. I like organization is not my thing, but everything that I create and teach is about organization, because I figured out as a non-organized person how to make it work. Right. And so it's really teaching the people that feel like they don't have that bone in their body to like make it work. And I have found, if I'm thinking back about when do I start to create systems, it's when things start falling apart or when I start to get burnt out and like want to quit and do it. And then I'm like, okay, let's do the system. But like, if you can get out of that mindset and not wait to that point and say to yourself, it's a priority now before it breaks, then you're going to be in a much better position. So, right now we're, batch recording for the podcast, and I've never done that before. And I ran the podcast for a whole year. You got to experience my new system after a whole year. Done is better than perfect, right?
It was very good, actually, I will say. Like, much better than a lot of people's. I will applaud you for putting a system in place. Like, you're 1-sheeter or 2-sheeter, technically, with like all the questions answered. I was like, great, I know exactly what to expect.
Yeah, perfect. I set the expectations up and gave all the information. And to me, it was like a dream. I was like, sent you the link. And at some point a VA will send out the links, but sent you the link, had you fill out the questionnaire, because that was a problem for me, trying to collect the information. At what point? After we've done the interview, the day before it's supposed to launch, and my VA is trying to put it in the show notes, like total what show, right? So it's like, okay. And then I don't like wasting time. I don't like other people wasting their time. So I have my system, which works out really well, has worked out well, is you have to fill out the questionnaire to get the information before you can schedule the call. because I'm not going to spend my time on the call with you and then you never get back to me about the information and I don't have it to launch. And, you know, we're all trying to figure out like, what are your socials? And I need your freebie link and it's airing tomorrow. And, you know, I need your headshot for the graphics. Like, so you must commit to giving me the information first, so I know you're committed, and then I will commit to you. And I think that's totally fine and acceptable to do in your business, to 100%. Whoever it is saying, look, I need you to show me that you're committed in this way, whatever it is. Maybe it has nothing to do with the podcast. And then I'm going to show you that I am dedicated to you, you know, and I'm going to commit to you. And it's been fun. It's been great to do these now that I have that system in place. It does take such a load off of trying to remember all the things. So that's my little tip. Don't wait till it's broken or you're burnt out to figure it out, but use it as an indicator. Okay, I think I need to set up a system and process to, you know, fix that thing, for sure. All right. We can wrap up here, but I want to hear a few you mentioned one like third-party platform, and I don't remember what it's called, but I'll get it and we'll put it in the show notes, but maybe a couple other system, like platforms that help with your systems.
Totally. One of my favorite and one of the oldest tools that I use is Acuity, which is Acuity Scheduling. I'm obsessed with it. I think it's so smart. And I know people who run 6-figure coaching businesses off of Acuity, like literally. So like you can pay, I think it's $10-15 a month or something, to be able to run your whole business off of. Like, yes, please. So I think, you know, making those little investments that you gain so much more time back. I think that Acuity is a fun one. Acuity Scheduling. And then I mentioned Dubsado, which is Dubsado. That's a little more robust of I would say CRM system, but mainly like client onboarding. But I use it for affiliates. I use it for referral partners. I use it for hiring, a lot of different things. But the main reason why people use Dubsado is for client relationship management. And so those are two of the tools that I've used the longest in my business and that I love and that I will probably use until I'm not in business, I guess, anymore. I don't know. So those are two fun ones. But also one that I really enjoy too is using Google Chrome as my browser. So you think Safari or Internet Explorer, or you probably don't even like think about this. Like you're just like, I just open up the internet. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. But Google Chrome is a browser and there are so many different plugins. Like if you're one of those people who sees a website you like or are inspired by something and you want to be able to take a picture of it, like there's a plugin where you can screenshot the web page and be able to take it to a designer and be like, I want to, you know, use this as an inspiration for a website that I want to build. Or I like this chick's outfit, stylist, I want you to now give me an outfit that's similar. So there's different things like that Google Chrome has over a lot of the other browsers that are super fun to play with. Super fun.
Never would have even thought of that. I love that.
Oh gosh, Google Chrome is like a whole fantasy land for me.
Awesome. So, and some of these are free and some of these are paid. And I have, to be honest, a pretty long list of like $10 here, $15 here, $30 here, you know, and it does add up. But at the end of the day, if I can be, you know, investing $200 a month off of all of these platforms and have a really streamlined system, that's going to save me way more time. That's worth a lot more than $200. So don't be afraid to invest. I was paying for Acuity for a long time before I actually started using it. And that was one of the things that was really stopping me up, was having to figure out how to use it and integrate it and make sure all 3 of my calendars, you know, came in so that if I scheduled something in this calendar, it blocked off time for them to get this and that. But, you know, then eventually it was like, okay, this is broken and not working. Figured it out, spent just half of a day figuring it out. And now I have just this streamlined thing. As soon as Jordan was done with the questionnaire, it was like, great, schedule your interview. Sent her the Acuity link and she scheduled it right up. And I got the email and it popped up in my thing. Like, the one thing I can't figure out is I want to make maybe you'll be able to help me with this. I want to make the interviews appear a certain color. Like I want them all to be yellow and they're showing up blue right now. So I'm like, how do I get them to automatically come in as yellow? So on my calendar, I can know like visual. I'm a very visual person. So I just want to visually see like, all right, here are my podcasts sprinkled throughout the week. Here's my standing meetings with my other team. These ones are, I put purple for my kids. So I have different color codes that are very specific to different types of events. That's something I can't figure out. Maybe you don't know the answer, but that's something I'm bound and determined to figure out to just improve the process.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's like, and it's those little things, right? Like, the fact that's why the home edit is so popular right now is like the rainbow rule of home organization. It's like, great. If it's red, I just put it with the red stuff. Like if it's blue, I put it with the blue stuff and it's easy. Color organization is like one of the best ways to organize because everybody gets it.
Yeah. I see so many people doing that with books these days on their bookshelves. And it's like, the color all out. Cool. So whatever works for you. The thing is you just have to figure out what works. And that's
exactly.
Cool. So you've got a freebie for us and you mentioned one other one. If you can find the link, we'll just give all the things if you want. All the links. But the freebie, you've got a free VIP day roadmap. So tell us about that and then we'll include the link in the show notes.
Yeah. So if you are like, this sounds super intriguing, I'm feeling burned out in my business and I want to try something new. Then if you're interested in learning about virtual VIP days, then I do have that free virtual VIP day roadmap. It's just like the 9 steps that you take to start creating and selling your virtual VIP days. And so it's just like a nice little intro to what they are and what they're about. And whatnot. And then, the other freebie that I'll find is technically the 5-minute inbox cleanup is what it's called. And so that shows you how you can clean out your inbox in 5 minutes, which is really fun. And so that one I'll send Krissy a link to as well for the show.
Well, I'm smiling over here because I'm really excited for that one because I like to joke that I put my email inboxes in the witness protection program as soon as they get too full and like there's 20,000 unread emails. I'm like, look, you're going into witness protection. We're going to put you over here and no one's going to know about you. And I'm just going to start a new one. And then like within 5 weeks, it's got 3,000 unread emails. And my sister and business partner for one of my brands is the complete opposite. A red bubble on her phone, gives her anxiety, and her email inbox is like down to 0 by the end of the day. Folder. She's like, just make folders. And I'm like, but I don't know how to do that. And so I have to figure out how to do that in order, but again, she's like, take the 15 minutes, Krissy, like it'll save your life. I was sharing my screen the other day and pulled it up and she goes, oh my gosh, all of those unread emails. I'm like, stop looking, don't look. She's like, clean it up. So I'm excited about that freebie. I'm totally going to be using it. And then before we say goodbye and I tell everyone how to stay connected with you, I want to play just a fun little game. And I didn't tell you about this before.
No, you did not.
I like to call it rapid fire.
Cool.
And so we're going to do like 10 questions and it's either going to be like a this or that or like, what's your favorite? Let me give you something and you just have to rattle
let's do it.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. This is for you guys to get to know Jordan a little bit, for me to get to know her. Don't know her at all. So if I say beer or wine and you are like, I don't drink, just say I don't drink. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Beer or wine?
Wine for sure.
Or if it's something else, if you're like, I'm a liquor girl, you can say that too.
No, I'm a wine, but I also love a good spicy pineapple jalapeno margarita.
Oh, fancy. Yeah. Okay. I love it. Books or podcasts?
Oh gosh, I would say books, but that's slim.
What's a book? Are you reading a book right now? What's the book?
I'm reading several books. One book that I'm reading that's really fascinating is called Thinking in Bets. I don't remember the author, but she's a poker player, and she talks about the process of decision making. And what makes a good decision and what makes a bad decision. It's really fascinating.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look that one up. All right, flowers or candy if you're getting a gift?
Flowers.
Heels or flats?
Probably flat, like sneakers.
Okay,
slip-on sneakers.
All right, what's your favorite food?
Oh, French fries.
Love it. Waffle or straight? I'm gonna ask.
Gosh,
I'm
well,
asking.
I know. So Chick-fil-A waffle fries, but I do like if it's late at night, nothing else is open, then I do enjoy McDonald's fries, even though they're like the worst fries in the world for you. So yeah.
Love it. Love it. All right, movie or TV series if you're gonna binge.
TV series.
Pajamas or real clothes on the daily while you're working.
Pajamas.
All right, chocolate or vanilla.
Vanilla.
Bath or shower.
Bath.
Cats or dogs.
Dogs.
And big party or small gathering.
Small gathering. For sure.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you, Jordan, for chatting,
awesome.
for sharing your tips with us. You can find Jordan on Instagram at Systems Saved Me. That's a plural with systems. And I'll put that in the show notes as well. I'll put Facebook links. I'll put your podcast link in there. So if you want to go listen to our podcast, we did an episode together. So you can go listen to that, which was always fun. Until next time, you guys, remember to channel your inner badass and take imperfect action every single day. Thanks, Jordan. We'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah, thank you so much, Krissy. Bye-bye.
Until next time, remember, done is better than perfect, my friend, and to channel your inner badass and take imperfect action every single day.